Well, evening, folks. Welcome to Wednesday's Coffee and Revelation. And again, thanks to those of you who have contacted me. What we do, for anyone who's new, we just simply having a coffee and going through the book of Revelation bit by bit. Do a couple of verses today and just take, hopefully a maximum of 5 minutes to help us think through this. And we're trying to apply it to today's world. So we saw yesterday, on the Lord's Day, I was in the Spirit and I heard behind me a loud voice like a trumpet, which said, and I can't do the loud voice because my voice is going, write on a scroll what you see and send it to the 7 churches, to Ephesus, Smyrna, Pergamum, Thyatira, Sardis, Philadelphia, and Laodicea. I turned round to see the voice that was speaking to me, and when I turned, I saw 7 golden lampstands. And among the lampstands was someone like a son of man, dressed in a robe reaching down to his feet and with a golden sash on his chest. I was going to entitle this one The Sash My Father Wore, but only those of a particular Scottish vintage who understand football and the things that go along with that would grasp that. I have to get on with this, by the way, because as you can see, the sun is going down. Now, what I love about this, and we're going to come to the 7 churches later on, the 7 golden lampstands here, is the idea that Christ walks amongst his churches. Hebrews 2 says that Jesus, verse 11, Jesus is not ashamed to call them brothers. He says, I will declare your name to my brothers. In the presence of the congregation, I will sing your praises. And again, I will put my trust in him. And again, he says, here am I and the children God has given me. I love that idea of Christ singing with his people. When we gather together on the Lord's Day and we're singing to Jesus, but we're also singing with Jesus. And I love that sense of, was it Matthew 18:20, where 2 or 3 are gathered in my name, there am I in the midst. So it's a beautiful, beautiful image. They're golden lampstands, speaking of image. What does that mean? They're pure. How does that purity come about? How does the purity of gold come about? They're refined in the fire. They are shining lights for Jesus in the midst of a hostile world. We sometimes bemoan and lament the hostility that we often face. And yet in many ways, it's the Lord purifying us. And he comes amongst us as his purified people. He says, like a son of man. And again, we're going back to the Old Testament. Daniel 7:13. In my vision at night, I looked, and there before me was one like a son of man, coming with the clouds of heaven. Such an important passage for understanding Revelation. He was given authority, glory, and sovereign power. All people, nations, and men of every language worshipped him. His dominion is an everlasting dominion that will not pass away, and his kingdom is one that will never be destroyed. So what you've got there is the real humanity of Christ and the real humanness of Christ and the real divinity of Christ. The robe and the sash, by the way, here speak of his high priestly character. This is Jesus coming as the high priest. It speaks of his finished work on the cross and his intercessory ministry, his prayer for us in glory. So you have all these elements of worship. You have Christ singing with his people. You have Christ praying for and with his people. You have Christ sacrificing himself for his people. You have Christ as the prophet, Christ as the priest, Christ as the king. And you will get that over and over and over again. All that thrills my soul is Jesus. He is everything to me. Yeah. Those 7 churches, and by the way, I'll put a map of them on, when I put this up on the blog, map of those 7 churches in Turkey. Those 7 churches, all they needed to know was that Christ was in their midst. Now, as we will see, that's also a terrifying thing as well as a wonderful thing. But it's basically a wonderful thing. We are Christians. We're not just theists. We are followers of the Christ. We worship and serve our Lord Jesus Christ. We are Christian churches and Christian people. And because of that, Christ is with us. What else do you need? See you tomorrow. Bye.